on?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I was gonna wait for Kim, but I think she's coming back. All right. Well, hello.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us today. Welcome to week 2 of National Retirement Security Month. My name is Lisa Anderson. I'm with the Indiana Public Retirement System, and I'm joined with, she'll be back in a moment, Kim Rumpel of Hoosier Start, our retirement plan partner. And we are here with you today. Oh, here's Kim. Say hello.
Good afternoon.
So today, or if you were with us last week, we focused on details about your state-sponsored retirement plans and all the details surrounding them, your eligibility for retirement, your options, and all that good stuff. Today, our focus is on navigating life events. So Kim and I have been in the retirement business a long time, and we meet with members on a regular basis. And oftentimes we see people going through different types of life challenges and events as they're saving for retirement. So today we want to talk about some of those events and provide you with things to consider and then resources that you can use in order to take advantage of them and then navigate through those life events, but still continuing to save and plan for retirement. Again, I'm Lisa, this is Kim, and we're here with you today. And once we conclude this session in person, we'll be outside at our tables here by the information desk, and we'll be available to answer any questions that you may have. Those of you online, if you have questions, feel free to post them, and we'll certainly work to get answers for you. So this is our agenda today. We'll talk about life events, the ones that affect your retirement savings and your finances the most. We'll talk about how they affect your finances, and then we'll provide you with some things to consider and some resources and some tools to use as you navigate through them. Because if you're aware of the things that you can use in order to help yourself navigate through things, then you're going to be more confident in what it is that comes your way, and you'll be more prepared and feel better about dealing with the challenges. So these are the 5 life events that typically affect your finances the most: career and work, relationships, caregiving, buying a home, and of course, retirement. So of these 5, just for you folks that are in the room with me today, since I can't see those online, of these 5, let me see a show of hands. Which one do you think affects finances the most? Is it career and work? No? All right. Is it relationships? I see one. Okay. How about caregiving, kids and parents? Oh yeah, that's a unanimous one almost. Buying a home, and then retirement. Okay, so caregiving, that's a big one. Well, that's good to know. We're even going to have a greater focus on caregiving next Wednesday, when that particular presentation entirely focuses on caregiving and resources. So be sure you tune in for that one as well. So, as luck would have it, the Bureau of Labor Statistics says that it's actually career and work that affects your finances the most. Apparently, the average person has had 12 jobs in their lifetime. Or anyone in here had 12 jobs? I'm thinking part-time as well as full-time, because I'm thinking, how many people have had 12 full-time jobs? It's possible, but yeah, I thought that was a surprise to me as well. So the average person, or average American, has 12 jobs in their lifetime. So this is the life event that typically affects people's finances the most. So how do you plan for that, or how do you deal with that? There's so many things to consider as you take on a new job, especially if you've had 12 of them, or somewhere in there, double digits. So there's so many things to think about. Obviously, when you come into a new job, you're dealing with a new salary or new pay that you need to then plan for. There's new culture, new benefits, different hours, different dress code. All those things are going to influence your finances. In addition to that, it's important to specifically take time to look at your employer-sponsored benefits. Now, here at the state, when you're new, many of you spend time in a full day onboarding where you're learning about all of the employer-sponsored benefits. and what part you play in those benefits, what portions you have to pay for and which ones are provided. But take time to fully evaluate your employer-sponsored benefits so that you're fully aware of what's available at each job that you have. In addition to that, if you've been in prior employment, if you have things that you're still carrying with you, like a retirement savings account, it's important to give thought to that as well as your new benefits at your new job and make sure that they're compatible and still working for you. It could be that you decide that you want to combine those two in the way of a transfer or a rollover and combine those plans, take your old one and combine it with your new one at your new employer. As well, look at your investments across both to make sure that they're still working in the best interests and in the best asset allocation for you with regard to your tolerance for risk. So all those things are important considerations as you change jobs, and you may very well have 12 of them throughout your lifetime or maybe even more. So as you go through each phase of your careers, those that are starting out, the important things to think as you come into state employment at least, know that from day one, you're working towards vesting in your state-sponsored retirement plan, whether that be in the My Choice plan or the hybrid plan. From day one, you start building years of service towards your retirement. Review your budget. As you're dealing with a new salary, make sure that you designate where you want each item of your money to go towards. So you want to make sure that your budget is working in your best interest. And of course, create savings goals so that you make sure that you're in line to save for anything that it is that you want to achieve financially. Same thing with mid-career. You're still dealing with a budget, but you're dealing with many other competing things for your budget. So it could be that you're caregiving, you're paying for education, you're paying for a mortgage, you're paying for a whole host of different things. So it can be quite a juggling act. So it's even more important that you stick with a budget there and revise your budget as things change. And then in your late career, as you're thinking about retirement, consider all of your different sources of income that you'll have available to you at the time that you retire. Ensure that you're vested, ensure that you have benefits available to you when you do decide to leave. But also as you continue to work, consider additional savings. If you're in your later career, you may have the opportunity to take advantage of catch-up savings as you grow towards retirement, and you may be able to save even more. So that'll be available for you when you do finally retire. So different phases of your career, while they might require different things to think about, the important thing, as you've heard me say a couple of times, is budgeting. Regardless of if you're new, middle career, or late career, budgeting is the most important thing that you want to focus on so that you make sure that your money is working in your best interest. I think there's a saying that says something like, if you don't manage your money's going to manage you. So make sure that you get in front of it and take advantage of creating a budget for yourself. Now, there are a whole bunch of different budgeting resources around in this entire universe, and we've got a handful of them for you to take advantage of as well. So really, there's not one perfect way to do it, or in fact, that perfect way is whatever works best for you. So you just have to find what that is. It could be an app on your phone. It could be an Excel spreadsheet. It could be a good old-fashioned handwritten ledger. So whatever is going to work for you is the best budget that's going to be for you. This is an example of a particular one that we provide. If you log into your account at myinverseretirement.org, you're going to find a whole bevy of different resources focused on financial wellness as well as life events. And this is one particular budgeting resource that's available to you. And it's the 50-30-20 budget that you can create, and it allows for you to focus 50% of your after-tax pay on your needs, 30% on your wants, and 20% on your savings goals. So that's a great way to get started with a budget. There are plenty of others, as I mentioned. It's just a matter of finding what's going to work for you. Also in the In-Purse Financial Wellness Guide, which is available on our website, it's also available in hard copy if you stop by our table or our office. It's got additional resources for budgeting in the way of it, alternative ways like what we call a balanced budget, as well as a reverse budgeting methods. So I would encourage you to have a look and find one that works best for you if you don't already have a method of your own. So again, you can focus on what it is your ultimate goals are and make sure that you can achieve those with the current income that you're working with. All right, so life event number 2, the next one that can affect your finances the most is relationships. So marriage and coupling is one. You could also be a single person creating your own retirement savings journey and finances. But according to Fidelity Investments, if we're looking at marriage and coupled or coupled individuals, according to Fidelity Investments, 50% of couples disagree on their retirement age, and 53% disagree on how much they need to save for retirement. So it can already be challenging enough dealing with it on your own, but when you're doing it as a couple, obviously there's going to be some different ideas on what retirement looks like. So what I would suggest, the best thing you can do is just communicate and create a plan and decide, are we doing this together or are we doing it as individuals? And make a plan to work from there. So I'm going to save this much for retirement because I plan to retire at 55 with the rule of 85. Whereas my spouse, he has some other ideas in terms of when he thinks that he wants to stop working and what he wants to do with that time once he does retire. So it's important to just communicate and decide what the plan looks like, whether that's a joint plan or as individuals, and then move forward with creating the appropriate savings for each. So whether you're going to combine finances or you're going to share accounts or you're going to pay percentages towards each, it's just important to create a plan and communicate that plan and stick with it. Other things you'll want to consider, obviously, are insurance needs, whether that be health insurance or life insurance, and make sure that the plans that you make together complement coverage for each of you. Tax implications. If you're married, are you filing your taxes jointly? Are you filing separately? All of those things are going to affect your situation and perhaps what your finances will look like afterwards. And then, of course, all of this is just aligning financial goals and savings goals together. So it's important to just establish the plan, of course, edit it as time is needed. But it's important just to work with the other individual in order to make sure that the plan works best for the two of you. And if not, then you might be in a different situation in the way of a divorce. Now, the number one reason they say for divorce has been communication. Guess what the number 2 one is? Money. So do your best to communicate, make a plan for finances so that hopefully you can avoid this. Obviously, there are many other reasons why couples part ways. But if that is something that you've dealt with or something that you're dealing with, there are also considerations as you go through that. Division of assets, so property and investments are always at the forefront of couples parting. Alimony and child support could certainly be a consideration if you're dealing with children or caregiving. And then retirement account division as well could also be a factor. Know that with your in-PERS accounts or your PERF accounts, they are unable to be divided for purposes of a divorce. However, other accounts like a 457 or a 401k, and Kim can speak a little bit to that in a moment, there may be opportunities to divide those in the case of a divorce. So regardless of what situation you're in, whether you be in a coupled situation, a divorce situation, or just a single person, more than anything, we want you to remember to keep your addresses and beneficiaries updated with NPERS, as well as with Hoosier Start, and as well as with state personnel. Because we don't share that information across our organizations. We're all individual organizations. So make sure that your information is updated with all 3. Because there have been unusual cases where we've had to pay someone that perhaps you might not have wanted us to pay because the information hasn't been updated. So we encourage you to please keep that information updated for us and change it as life changes or as your situation changes. Here's a couple of resources to take advantage of as you're dealing with life events surrounding relationships. There's a great website called Personal Finance for Couples, Managing Finances, that's actually provided by the state of California's website. There's, of course, the Social Security Administration, and that's important for both couples as well as for individuals to understand how you can look to receive benefits at what age and what's the most advantageous for you, whether you are married, divorced, widowed, or single. And then Hoosier Start has a lot of great calculators available on their website at HoosierStart.com, which Kim will talk more about here in a moment as well. So these are some good solid resources for you to use as you navigate relationship changes along your retirement savings journey. Okay, so number three is home buying. That's the next one that can affect your finances greatly. So while there are people that choose to buy homes, there are people that choose not to buy homes. There are pros and cons for each. But it is typically one of the largest purchases that Americans will make in their lifetime. So it's important to research and plan for a home that you can afford for a long period of time. So people typically take 3 to 10 years to save for a home. So it can obviously be a long journey to save for and acquire a home. And then once you get one, there's all those additional expenses that can come with it. I screenshot a resource that's available on our website at myinpersretirement.org that gives you some information on purchasing a home if it's your first time making that sort of purchase, some additional considerations to think about. I'll have a few more for you here in a moment. So there are pros and cons, but really what these are they are just really trade-offs if you think about it. If you consider whether it's advantageous for you to buy a home or to rent a home or rent an apartment or space, consider with home buying, you're building equity, but at the same time, you're also reducing liquidity or you're reducing the amount that you have available to save in towards retirement or other savings goals because home buying requires so much. But know that you're building a valuable asset that could be used towards your retirement. Many individuals that we meet with will plan to sell their home at retirement and use those proceeds as they look to downsize into something smaller or relocate to another space or move in with their children and use those proceeds to fund their expenses in their retirement years. So there's different ways to go about it, but know that it is still a valuable asset and can be used in a number of different ways. But potential appreciation versus maintenance costs is another consideration or trade-off because the value may certainly increase in one's home and boost your wealth, and that's wealth that you can hold on to yourself or even pass on to younger generations. But the ongoing costs can certainly, again, reduce the amount that you have to save towards other things. But overall, the tax benefits and the stability of having a reliable place to land, a place to lay your head, and home stability, those things can certainly outweigh any cons that you may encounter. So if you're thinking of buying a home or certainly maintaining one if you already have one, here's a couple of resources that are useful for that. The Consumer Financial and Protection Bureau, also known as CFPB, is a federal resource that provides information on home buying and maintaining a home in case you get into a financial situation where you feel as though you might be at risk of losing it. This particular resource I'll mention again because they have all sorts of different things concerning life events and financial wellness, as well as retirement saving information. There's also mymoney.gov, another great federal resource that again addresses life events and different things that you want to consider. Other agencies that can assist, federal agencies that can assist you in case you do encounter a life event that you need some support through. And then the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, which is a state agency right here that provides a bevy of information about home buying and home maintaining. So I encourage you to take advantage of all of these. Okay, here's the one that I saw the greatest show of hands for, and that's caregiving. So, caregiving, whether it be kids, parents, elderly relatives, or friends, caregiving is clearly a big deal. And if we're talking about kids, I just found this particular data that I thought would be of value for this conversation. And so while this report dates back a couple of years ago, I think it's still so relevant today. So the USDA determined that to raise a child up to the age of 18, the average cost to raise them is over $284,000. That's for a child that was born in 2015. And that's for a middle income family. $284,000. Um, the majority of those costs are food and education and daycare. So that's just really focusing on those alone. Obviously, there's many other costs associated with raising children, whether it be housing and transportation, or AirPods, or youth sports, or cell phones. Children are expensive. There's no doubt about that. Personal care items, entertainment. It's fall break. They want to go on beach vacation. So it's like you hear all of those things. So it's interesting that it's almost, I was kind of surprised that while that amount is high, I almost expected it to be higher when I saw it, just knowing how kids live today. Parents and elderly relatives, this is something that we see so often when Kim and I meet with members. A lot of times we will meet with members who are dealing with being sandwiched, essentially. They're at home, they're working, they're raising kids, but now there are parents or relatives that need care. And so they're balancing the act of caring for both. So according to AARP's 2020 caregiving report, 1 in 5 Americans are currently providing unpaid care to an aging parent or another relative. And approximately 53 Americans were providing unpaid care to relatives in 2020, which was up from 2015, where it was 43.5 million. So the financial impact can be great, especially if you are in a situation where you're caring for elderly parents as well as for people in your household, like children. Um, the stat also provides us with 23% of individuals are reporting that their finances have been affected as a result of caring for aging parents or relatives. So this is something that is expected to grow as our greater population ages and are in need of care. If you are able to, if you have a parent that is older or relative that is aging, to the extent that you can work with them early on and make sure that, or you assist them with getting plans in place for what kind of care they would like to have in their later years, and make arrangements as such so that when the time comes when they are in need of care, then you'll be prepared and have a plan in place that you can execute. Here's a couple of resources I mentioned before, the CFPB, which is a great resource for home buying as well as for caregiving. So they've got a whole bevy of resources and information about paying for college if you're dealing with children, helping a loved one manage their money, and then tools for financial security in later life so that you can attempt to work with your aging relative to get structure in place so that that you can provide them with the care that they need and that their finances are in order at the time that they need that care. AARP, of course, has really, really great resources for all of these things. They even have a page that provides you with a variety of different caregiving tips or different types of care that an aging relative might be experiencing. They have specific considerations and suggestions for how you care for different types of caregiving that's needed, different types of ailments. And then here at the state, we have our employee assistance program that also has some great resources to take advantage of as a benefit of being a state employee. So Optum EAP at livingandworkwell.com is another great resource that's available. So at myempersretirement.org, I mentioned before, there are financial wellness tools as well as life event tools to take advantage of, different calculators, articles, videos, all sorts of things that can support you as you navigate through different life events and challenges. Because inevitably, you're not just going to deal with one at one time, you're going to be dealing with multiple life events at the same time. So just know that there is help available, and certainly take advantage of these opportunities should you need them. Final event is retirement. So as I mentioned last week, we talked about all the different things surrounding your state-sponsored retirement plans. And I encourage you to take a look at that video if you weren't able to participate last week. It's on the NPERS YouTube channel, so you may certainly watch that and catch up. But know that regardless of which month or week it is, this information is available to you if you get in touch with NPERS as well as with Hoosier Start. So with your PERF retirement plans through the Indiana Public Retirement System, know your retirement plan eligibility. So what I mean by that is know what it takes in order to earn a benefit from your plan. So with the state, there are two plans available. There's the hybrid plan and there's the My Choice plan. And those you decide upon once you enroll. If you've been here since 2013, if you were here prior to 2013, then you'll be in the hybrid retirement plan. But there are different ways to retire from it, whether it be a full retirement, an early retirement, a disability retirement, or what we call a Millie Morgan retirement, which allows for you to work and retire at the same time. So be familiar with the different ways in which you can retire from the plan and know the pension benefit options that you get to choose from at the time that you do retire. So you can kind of keep those things in your mind as you save for retirement along this journey. If you're a member of the My Choice plan, understand when you're eligible to receive benefits from that at age 62 with 5 years of vesting. And then be familiar with the different ways in which you can have that money paid out. So the hybrid plan as well as the My Choice plan have your defined contribution account. And with that, you get to decide how it is you would like those contributions paid out after you retire. So be familiar with those options as well. Lastly, the retiree medical benefits account. We talked about that last week as well, and that's for all benefits eligible state employees. You're automatically enrolled in that, and that's available for you if you retire with full benefits from the plan. So information on all of these are available in our handbooks and on our website and on our at-a-glance sheets at npers.in.gov or in.gov/npers. If you're here in person, you can stop by our table because we have information on all of them there as well. But to keep up to date on your plan, as I mentioned before, be familiar with when you become eligible for benefits so that that'll give you some encouragement to know that you're working towards a benefit. But keep up to date with your plan by logging into your account. From us, you'll receive quarterly statements. So you'll get those 4 times a year. And if you opted in to receive those by email or by mail, then that's how you will receive them. And then also annual member statements are available in order to see what your benefit could pay you once you are eligible for benefits. Our benefit estimate calculators are available for you at any time in order to estimate what benefits could pay to you at the time that you're eligible. The handbooks I mentioned before, and then of course, retirement workshops and individual counseling are available to all of our members. So you don't have to be close to retirement in order to attend a workshop or receive counseling from any of our team. Additional resources I've listed down here are the Benefiting You Handbook, which is created and provided by state personnel. That's available on their website at in.gov/SPD. That gives you all the details on all of the state provided benefits that are available to you as employees. Social Security Administration, Medicare, and AARP. All great resources for all of these things. I mentioned the retirement or the benefit estimate calculators before. This is a great way for you to estimate what benefits could pay you at the time that you retire. And that's available once you log into our website at myimpersretirement.org. And then this resource again, I mentioned the Emperor's Financial Wellness Guide, but it's got a whole lot of different things in it that are useful to this conversation. So I mentioned before that it has budgeting calculators, but it also has a great retirement readiness checklist that you can review and see if you are prepared, or give you some ideas on what to prepare for, how to choose a beneficiary, and a retirement timeline. So all of those things are available to you in that publication. The Financial Wellness Guide, yep. If you step out here, we have some at our table, and it's also available on our website. Okay. And then our financial wellness tools, as I mentioned before, once you log into myempersretirement.org, you'll have access to all of these life events resources, as well as financial wellness resources that can assist you. And then this is just an example of some of the calculators that are available for you as well, whether it be a budgeting calculator, life insurance needs, college savings, asset allocation to help you with your investment choices. So that's it for me. I'm going to pass it over to Kim, and she's going to tell you more about how to navigate life events using your 457. Thanks, Kim.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to partner with NPERS and Lisa in particular to provide you some additional information. For those of you that don't know, I'm Kim Rumpel. As Lisa mentioned earlier, I have been with your Hoosier Start Plan for 12 and a half years. We do specialize in retirement. My title is Senior Retirement Specialist, so I appreciate Lisa carrying the bulk of the load in terms of the education that she's provided. But I do want to go back a few slides. I'd like to add some context to some of the things that she talked about, and how Hoosier Start is here to help you, and how some of those life events might affect your retirement savings. Oops, go backwards. Yeah, there we go. So let's go back to a couple of the life events that she brought up. The first one being careers. Lisa mentioned to you that the average American can have an average of 12 different jobs in their lifetime. As that relates to Hoosier Start, you can, as you go through your career, as Lisa mentioned, consider consolidating those accounts. You can do that through NPERS. You can also choose to do that through Hoosier Start. I would also share with you that if the state, in this case, or another entity that you work for is not your final destination in your career path, or just a number in those 12, as you leave your employer, if you want to take your state retirement accounts or your other entity accounts with you to a new position, you can also do that. If you find yourself in a situation where you are transitioning out of your current position and you want to discuss with us what that might look like, or what the logistics are around that, you're welcome to reach out to us at any time. So Hoosier Start wants to provide that support to you, not only while you are a participant in Hoosier Start, but also if you are transitioning out of your role and intend to consolidate accounts, we can certainly talk to you about what that looks like. The other thing that I wanted to share with you is relationships. There's some things to be aware of. Lisa highlighted some very important information as it relates to as you join your finances. And I wanted to share an anecdote that is very common when I'm in the field talking to participants, and that is, how much should we be saving? If you've ever heard me speak in a group setting, you will always hear me say that I would be very happy if everyone was saving 10 to 15% of their salary toward retirement. As Lisa shared with you, there are a lot of life events that can vie for those dollars. But as it relates to a marriage or a domestic relationship that you might have, one of the anecdotes that I get a lot of times is, I have a spouse saving 5% in their retirement account, and the other spouse is saving 5% in their retirement account, so that's 10%. Well, I'm a numbers person and I'm a geek through and through, but what I would offer to you is that 5 and 5, in that case, 5% and 5% is not 10. It is for the percentages, but you're not saving commensurate as a household for your respective salaries. So ideally, we'd like for each individual to be saving between 10 and 15% of their salary. And as Lisa mentioned, couples do a number of different things with their finances, whether they're doing that individually or whether they're joining finances, whether they're joining their retirement goals together or each planning individually. Ideally, we would love for you to be in that 10 to 15% range respectively. And the reason for that can be a number of things, but primarily there may be a disparity in income. So if you have one spouse that's earning a much higher income and they're saving 5%, but you have someone else saving 5% at a lower income, then we're really not saving commensurate. So we really want everybody saving between 10 and 15%, not adding the percentages together. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to touch on just briefly was the divorce topic. Unfortunately, if you find yourself in this situation, there are certain restrictions with the in-PERS benefits as far as splitting those assets. There may be other options within Hoosier Start. There are some legal things that can be done through the court system that may allow you to split assets. So if you find your Hoosier Start assets, specifically 457s and the like. So if you find yourself in that situation, that would be something that you might consider bringing up with the parties involved, whether that's the soon-to-be ex-spouse or the attorneys, if you have those, to consider what options you might have available. But we are here to work with you to help you figure out what that looks like. We cannot dictate, but we can certainly take a court order. There's something called a QBRO, which is a Qualified Domestic Relations Order. We do not need to get into the specifics of that, but that is a court order that tells Nationwide, or in this case, Hoosier Start, how to split those assets. And then there's some tax implications, positive and negative. So I encourage you to speak to those folks that may be involved for those details. The other thing that I wanted to comment briefly as it relates to home buying, although I do focus on retirement, my background is in financial advising. So I would offer to you that as it relates to Hoosier Start and retirement, obviously we would love for you to be saving more. We're not compensated differently regardless of how much you do or don't save. This is all information for your benefit, and we're salaried employees and very proud to be. But what I would offer to you is if you are considering buying a home, I would encourage you to make sure that you have an emergency fund. And I would encourage that regardless of whether you're buying a home or not. But home buying can be very expensive. And in some cases, you are taking on the responsibility of all of the upkeep and all of the things that come with a home. So I do encourage you, although again, we want you to be shooting to save that 10 to 15% toward retirement. If you are considering a home purchase, I encourage my clients to make sure that you have a nest egg set aside for those unexpected expenses that might come up. If you are purchasing a home, that could be just the cost of moving. It could also be upkeep on the home. It can be hookup fees and all the things that come with it. The reason that I bring that up is that it is very difficult for you to take money out of Hoosier Start while you are employed. So I get multiple calls a year, and participants or employees ask me, can I make a withdrawal from my Hoosier Start account? I'm buying a home. And there is no provision in your Hoosier Start account or your 457 that allows you to take a withdrawal from the account or a loan in order to purchase a home. So if you are anticipating that that is going to be something that you consider, please make sure that you have dollars set aside so that you can fund that without relying on the opportunity to take money out of Hoosier Start. You would not be eligible to do that. Okay. All right, moving on, caregiving. Again, we'll focus more on this next week as we dive deeper into the caregiving generation and what all that entails. But I would offer to you that there are a number of things as it relates to Hoosier Start that might be helpful. First and foremost is you can change your contribution rate to Hoosier Start anytime. So there is a misconception in the field that you are stuck with your contribution rate once you make that, similar to open enrollment. You make a one-time election for a lot of your state benefits, and then you're stuck with that until open enrollment of the next year, barring a life event. However, with Hoosier Start, you can change your contributions at any time. So should you find yourself plugging right along and following some of our guidelines, and you've even managed to get yourself to the 10 to 15% savings range, but something changes dynamically in your situation, whether you have a child in your home starting to attend college, or whether you become a caregiver for an elderly parent, which can cost additional funds out of those budgets that you're hopefully creating, you can change your contribution rate, which is why I always encourage my clients to be aggressive with their savings while you can, with the idea that should one of these life events happen or come to your situation, you're able to adjust and maybe not have quite as big an impact as it might have been had you not saved early and often. Okay. All right. So other than the life events that Lisa has shared and some of the context that I've added, as I said, we specialize in retirement, and we're here to help you with that. We partner with NPERS to make sure that you are retirement ready. So I'm skipping ahead to the Hoosier Start slide. Just for logistical information for Hoosier Start, regardless of the life events that you find yourself facing as you go through your lifetime and your career, Hoosier Start is here to help. I'm always available by virtual. I have a full team of retirement specialists in the field that are also available virtually or also in the field to do group meetings like this, but focused on retirement. But I did want to share with you some information. Contributions to your Hoosier Start account can be as little as $15 a pay. It can be as high as the IRS guidelines, which is $23,000 a year if you're under 50, $30,500 if you're over 50, and there are some special catch-up provisions that we can discuss as well. You can save on a before-tax basis. You can also save on a Roth basis. But I do want to highlight, again, you can change your contribution rate or type anytime throughout your career. Again, yes, ma'am?
Say that again, say what the boundaries are.
Yes, so the question was the boundaries, and I think you meant contribution limits, right? Yes, so if you're under age 50, you can contribute up to $23,000 a year into your Hoosier Start account. That must come from payroll deduction. If you're over 50, that number is $30,500 in the 2024 calendar year. There may be a change coming from the IRS for 2025. They don't usually release that until toward the end of the calendar year, so we'll certainly keep that information updated. And then if you find yourself in a situation where you're within 3 years of retirement, there may be some additional catch-up contributions available to you, but we can talk about that one-on-one. Okay, thank you for the question. We talked briefly earlier about rollovers as you go through your career. This is just a slide highlighting that. That may be that you're rolling dollars into the plan from other jobs that you've had in your previous lives. It may be rolling the dollars out of the account should you choose to do that as you move through your career. You are also welcome to keep your Hoosier Start account as long as you wish, whether you're employed with the state or your current entity or not. Hoosier Start can always be a home base, and you're more than welcome to keep that account indefinitely. I have clients that have been retired for many, many years that still utilize their Hoosier Start account, largely because of the low cost and the access to resources that are available through myself and my team, as well as all the information on our website as well. So we'll pause there for just a moment. We'll talk briefly about what's next. But before we do that, I'll share with you, I mentioned earlier that we have a full team of retirement specialists out to help you, in addition to all the folks that Lisa employs and NPERS has available for you as well. We work together to get you retirement ready. Again, we can meet virtually. We can meet in person as long as it's a feasible. We have to be logistical about some of that, but we pivot very well to virtual. And again, we can do group meetings or individual. There's no fee for our time, nor NPERS. Obviously, this is all part of your retirement benefits with the state. So I always encourage my clients to take full advantage of all of the resources that you have available. Congratulations to you all and those of you online taking advantage of these resources to learn more about all of the things that we're talking about. But also we want to continue that conversation one-on-one. Again, no fee to meet with us. And also there's an opportunity to meet with us on an ongoing basis if you have these life events or if you experience a life event and we need to update information to help you stay retirement ready, we're happy to do that. Lastly, I'll bring your attention to Mark Gregoire. He is on the left of your screen. Mark is a personal retirement consultant. He is an add to the contract with Hoosier Start that the state signed in 2022, and Mark is there to provide a much more comprehensive analysis than what we might do in the field. If you find yourself in a situation where you might have experienced a life event and it's something that for whatever reason we aren't able to address in the field, we can certainly use Mark's resources as well. Again, no fee to meet with Mark, and I'm happy to get you in touch with him if we need to do that. Lisa has included a slide of her team. You can see all of them here, and you can use the QR code to register for a webinar or an appointment with a representative from NPERS. And again, we'll work together to help get you retirement ready. So I want to highlight again, as far as things that are coming up, we encourage you, you can certainly use the QR code, you can visit our website. But again, I want to highlight what Lisa said a few moments ago, and that is I've kind of changed my tune a bit on beneficiaries, and I always say, make sure you update your beneficiaries. However, as Lisa highlighted, I've started indicating that there are 3 places, as Lisa mentioned, that you should check your beneficiaries: PeopleSoft or state personnel, NPERS, and Hoosier Start. And although we partner together to make sure that you're retirement ready, we don't talk to each other electronically. So you'd be shocked at the number of folks who, 1, don't have beneficiaries, or 2, tell me that they have them on PeopleSoft, so everything's taken care of. So check all 3 entities, make sure they are who you intend them to be, and make sure that there is someone listed on each account, because for retirement in particular, that can get a little sticky in the event that something happens. And then lastly, in closing, we have 3 more sessions coming up in October for National Retirement Security Month. Next week, we'll dive into the caregiver generation. The following week, I will not be available, but we have someone that will present for you, and we will talk about maximizing your peak earning years, which would be that time where you find yourself not caregiving, but not quite to retirement, hopefully. And we can talk to you about how that can benefit and impact your retirement. And then our last session will be on October 30th, and we will talk about planning your exit strategy. For those of you that are anticipating retirement sooner than later, that will be of particular interest, with some additional logistics and information about how to pick a retirement age and all of the things that go into that, and make sure that you have an exit strategy in place. So thank you very much. I am providing contact information for both Hoosier Start and NPERS. We'll leave that on the screen, but that is the end of our presentation this afternoon. I appreciate all of your time and all of your attention. And again, we will be at the tables out front for those of you that are in person. Happy to answer any questions that you have. If you would like to schedule time to meet with me, you're more than welcome to shoot me an email. I will send you a link to my virtual calendar, and we can meet to discuss any of the things that you've learned today. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll look forward to seeing you all in the next sessions. Take care.